Hey guys, Martini Bierman here for TechZulu.com, and right now I'm sitting next to Greg Boser from Three Dog Media. So Greg, what is Three Dog Media for those who maybe don't know?
We're a search engine marketing and internet marketing company, which means if you run a company and you sell products that people would search for on sites like Google, I'm the guy that helps you rank well.
So if I have a company and I come to you, walk me through the process of what would happen to get me to rank well.
So let's say you had a website and you sold, I don't know, baby clothes or anything, products. Hundreds of thousands of people every day sit down at sites like Google and type in cute baby clothes. And search results come up. There's millions of pages that have that phrase, and there's 10 sites on the first page, and then consumers look at those results and click on it and then typically go buy products from whoever ranks on that first page. But there's only 10 spots and there's 10 million companies, right? So our job is that we spend a lot of time understanding Google's algorithms and how they work, so we help clients rank better. Because if you rank better, you get a lot more traffic to your website, you sell more products, you make more money, everybody's happy.
Do you work predominantly with Google?
Google is the 800-pound gorilla in the space, so unfortunately we live in an all-Google world for the most part, but we do help clients rank well in Yahoo. It just doesn't equate into as much traffic, not as much value in Yahoo. Pretty much Google powers AOL. They're about 70% of the total search market share across the whole entire web. So if you want to have success in search marketing, you need to be in Google.
But how did you guys get started? How did you get started with your company?
I got started, I was actually working as a sales manager for a company that sold firefighting equipment for people that live in places like Malibu. I remember in '95 when Malibu caught on fire and all the rich houses burned down, I worked for a company that sold equipment that helped prevent that from happening. And in that process, my job was to develop a sales staff. So I started going on AOL and CompuServe back in those days and finding discussion forums where retired firefighters hung out and basically kind of spamming them, to recruit salespeople. And that led to me building a website for the company, and that turned into wondering why I didn't have any traffic. And then so I started kind of trying to learn about search engines, and I found this website called A Webmaster's Guide to Search Engines, written by a guy named Danny Sullivan. So Danny Sullivan turned out to be like the Dalai Lama of our space. He used to be a reporter for the Orange County Registry, and he took the time to study it, and he wrote this paper about how they work and how they index sites and their algorithms and how all that stuff works, and published it. And I read it and started doing what he said, and like, wow, all of a sudden I got traffic and from people all over the world, and I just was hooked. So I quit that job, borrowed some money, sat in a little room for 6 months to learn all I could learn, and just took off from there.
And this was back in
'96, and now it's like a $7 billion a year industry, and it's a huge, huge industry. But at the time, there was like these little email discussion lists, and I don't know, there's like 20 of us. And we were all sitting around going, wow, I think there's money in this. If you could help people who don't know how the engines work, help them rank better, and they make more money, they'll pay you money to do that. So we all lived like poor paupers, working out of our spare bedrooms. And Danny got real popular and started a website called Search Engine Watch, and that turned into a conference series. And when he started that in like '99, the 20 people that he knew, they became his speakers, and it just grew from there. And now in our industry there's dozens of conferences across the globe, and the ones in New York, San Francisco, they draw 5,000 to 6,000 people a pop that are dropping anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500 for 4 days to come learn about search marketing. Because for most, especially upstart smaller companies, it's hugely critical to your growth and your success on the web. So it's pretty exciting to be sitting here after all these years and go, wow, an event like this, and a good chunk of the people here are from that space. That's where we met Becky. You know, Becky's from our neck of the woods, and she put together this mixer to bring in people from different, and there's a lot of people here who've never even heard of search marketing. So for me, it's kind of odd.
Like a totally different world that they're a part of.
It's amazing that after all this time, and that there's still people that haven't heard about it or don't know about it, or, you know.
Which then ultimately becomes the point of mixers like this. But so wait, going backwards, when you go to an event and you're talking to a group of people, what is like the number one question that you get asked, or what is your biggest piece of advice for people who need this kind of, you know, they need this kind of help and are looking for your field?
The toughest thing is that over time, the search engines themselves don't really like our industry, because in a sense we learn their flaws and we game. So they come up with these magic, like Google has all these young kids from Stanford, and they're genius engineers, and their goal is to build the perfect search engine that always finds the right page and always finds the site that's the most worthy. And we pick apart that algorithm and try to find the flaws in it, or try to understand how it works. So as a client, I can tell you, things like Google factors the age of your site a lot. So older sites will rank better than newer sites. And over time, those algorithms have got more and more complicated, because the more our industry kind of finds the holes and abuses it, the more they work to fix those holes. So it's a far more complicated thing now than it ever was. So the biggest piece of advice is, with Google especially, is it doesn't happen overnight. Ranking well in search engines is more of a long-term endeavor. It takes proper planning as far as your site architecture, the type of content, how you deploy the content, all that kind of stuff. So it used to be where you could come online and a month later, if you knew what you were doing, rank for a term that brings you thousands of visitors. It doesn't work that way anymore. It takes a long-term commitment. But the nice thing is the money you invest up front for somebody like me, or that time the money you spend on developing search marketing strategies, it pays off forever and ever, because once I'm gone down the road, you still rank well, and you'll get a constant flow of traffic coming from the most popular site in the world. I mean, there's no site more popular than Google.
It's very true. Well, I definitely would agree. So what has been one of the biggest challenges that you guys have faced? I mean, I know you're not a newer company, you've been around for a while, but what are some of the challenges maybe that you're facing on an ongoing basis?
The hardest thing about organic SEO, like what we do, is that, pay-per-click has become hugely popular, and Google loves that because you pay money forever. So if I start a website tomorrow, I can go to Google, set up an account, and I can bid on any keyword I want. And if I have a big enough budget, my ad will show at the top, people will click on it. I may or may not convert that visitor. So in their world, they would love all companies that are commercial-oriented to get all their traffic from that system, because that's how Google makes their money. The nice thing about pay-per-click is that it's easy to track ROI. You can know exactly how much a visitor costs you. If you have all that metrics in place, it's much more of a science. The organic stuff is a little different, because they won't tell us how it works. They don't give you that information. So it's part art, part science, part experience, part trial and error. And it's basically, we spend a lot of time reading patents. Google files a patent, we read the patent to try to understand what that patent covers and what they're trying to accomplish, and then take that information and turn it into something usable you can give a client and say, here's what they're trying to do, here's why they're trying to do it, and here's how that impacts how you should deploy your content. Things like Flash, and there's a lot of technology, Ajax, and things that are design technologies that are very popular right now, but they inhibit a search engine's ability to find your site, because they're really not that smart. So finding that balance between current cutting-edge technology for humans that's flashy and neat and cool, and the kind of technology that a search engine crawler can handle, sometimes that can be tough. So that's probably the hardest thing, is striking that balance, because everybody wants their site to look great and do neat. A lot of have bells and whistles, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes that can cost you 50,000 visitors a day, because your technology choice makes it impossible for Google to properly crawl and index your site, and therefore, if they can't do that, you're not going to show up in their search results.
Gotcha. All right. Well, one more time, so if our viewers want to go and find you, if they have any questions at all, where can they go?
The company's called 3Dog Media. That's like number 3, dogmedia.com. You can also find me at gregboser.com. And that's usually the easiest way. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. For TechZulu.com, I'm Martini Bierman.